while Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg defends his company in a landmark social media addiction trial in the United States, a different but equally pressing debate is unfolding around one of Meta's newest devices, the Meta Smart Glasses. These AI-powered wearable glasses allow users to capture photos and videos, live stream content, and interact with digital platforms, often discreetly and in real time. Supporters say it is the future of connected living. Critics warn it could open the door to unauthorized recording, harassment, and a new era of everyday surveillance. In this country, the big question is whether our current laws are strong enough to deal with this technology. Do these glasses infringe on privacy rights? Could wearing them in certain spaces be unlawful? And should there be stricter, possibly even licensed regulation for devices capable of recording without obvious consent? Let's unpack all of those questions, the regulatory landscape. I'm joined now by Lerato Ntwampe, a legal professional with a sharp focus on the intersection of law, technology, and social media. Lerato, good afternoon, and thank you for your time this afternoon. Before we get into this question about the wearables, I'm wondering how closely you are monitoring this case out of the United States in Los Angeles that has to do with suing Meta, Google, and other platforms for addiction. And the key question there being, you spending all your time on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, YouTube, everything else. Is it an addiction that could have been foreseen by the creators of these platforms, and therefore you have a right to take it up with them and sue them? I wonder how closely you've been watching it and what you make of the questions that are being raised there.
Yeah, no, so certainly I have been monitoring that trial. It's quite interesting to see because we all know that, most of these social media platform giants, they don't let their children on those platforms. So if I was one of the attorneys, that would definitely be one of my questions, that do you actually allow your kids to be on the platforms because of how addictive they are in nature. There is obviously a debate now about, there's no social media addiction term in terms of psychology, and also the causal link between the addiction and the platform. So that's quite a huge debate, and we've heard from the platforms who have testified to actually say, well, there's actually no evidence. But the evidence is there. The kids are addicted. The kids are throwing tantrums. The kids have developed mental illness. But, I think the causal link will certainly then be the breaking point of this case, and how those attorneys are actually going to package it in terms of the personal stories of the plaintiffs that are involved, as well as the various studies that actually have been done by professors and people in the health fraternity and people who actually have seen the effects of children being addicted and actually no warnings.
Oh no, Lerato? Yeah. So we lost you there for a moment, and I wonder if we have you back. Let's see. Let's try and press on and see if your line is back with us. So just lastly on that aspect, before we turn to the wearables, Lerato, I suppose the question becomes whether or not it can be said that the platform creators and these companies, your Meta and others, could have foreseen that addiction that would be, devastating in terms of its impact on a person's lifestyle and livelihood. They could have foreseen and prevented that. What's your sense of that? Because the woman who's bringing the case is known as KGM or Kaylee. And basically she's saying that I spent much of my childhood on Instagram, on YouTube, and you are responsible for it. You should have foreseen that death scroll. They call it death scroll, right?
Yes, scrolling. Scrolling is also another term. Yes, the fact that the algorithm is able to actually pick up what you enjoy and they bring you more of that content, that should be enough. The fact that also the platforms are not safe by design. As a parent, you're supposed to have the parental controls in place. In other countries, it's a default where it's a child account default, but in other countries, it's not. So there are things that they could have done. And unfortunately, introducing some of those tools like your teen accounts in the later apparent, some parental control that needs to actually, be involved. So I think certainly doom scrolling has become an issue. The fact that it also doesn't switch off when it comes to screen time, parental controls have to
Yeah.
be in place, but it's not safe by design and actually doesn't kick you off by design. That I hope will be sufficient in this case, but we are monitoring it quite closely and we're excited to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, because I mean, you look at one picture of one thing, I don't know, a cabbage. Let's keep it with something safe. You look at a picture of a cabbage, and suddenly you'll be seeing 1,000 cabbages coming up on your feed. But let's move on to the wearables, Lerato, and that's an issue that's becoming quite real for us here in South Africa, isn't it? Because I'm told, I thought they were still coming, but I'm told they're actually here. These wearables that are being provided by platforms such as Meta, that enabled basically the taking of photos and video, linking up to social media platforms and going live in instances where some people may not be even aware that you are live as you are looking at them, and that's being transmitted. What minefield does that open for you legally and its consequences?
Yeah, I mean, it's a privacy concern because, as you pointed out, sometimes people aren't aware. They say that, when it starts recording, there's a LED light that sort of comes on. But I mean, if you're not privy to that, you don't know that you're being recorded. And this has huge privacy concerns in terms of people being recorded in private spaces, public spaces. There isn't really that presumed reasonable expectation of privacy, but in a private space, at an office space, in the workplace, it could really, really be problematic, and also the type of cause harm in terms of maybe a predator who's sitting, at the beach and watching little kids and recording them, for CSAM, for example, to be able to sell those images commercially. So the fact that people aren't aware that they're being and they're not notified that they're actually being recorded is a huge privacy risk. And also, the collection of that data as well, that will lead to things like, for example, targeted marketing could also pose an effect, because essentially, if you don't know that you're being recorded, you also don't know that your personal information is being collected. You don't know where it's stored. You don't have an ability to sort of opt out because somebody is just wearing these glasses, recording you, and you have no clue.
But these classes already exist, don't they, Lerato, in the context of private investigators, as well as, I don't know, I would imagine the police in their various units may have access to these, as well as investigative journalism, where you want to go undercover. That already exists. But I think the big differentiator and what really sets these apart is the linkage with social media and the ability to go live. Yes. I think that's a game changer, isn't it? How important will it be for our regulators, policymakers, lawmakers to be alert to this, to some of the pitfalls that you point to?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite massive. We definitely do need legal reform, particularly when it comes to the social media space. It's a slow pace, it's technology is moving at very fast speed, and we're always trying to just sort of catch up. AI is also now, entered the chat. We also now need to catch up with that. I do know that there is a South African national artificial intelligence policy framework, but it hasn't become law yet. And then there is also that audio, visual, and online safety white paper as well, which could potentially become redundant as things, move forward. So we urgently need legal reform to be able to address some of these issues. Popia would obviously also play a role in terms of how information is collected, how it's stored, the ability of the people to actually be notified, the data subjects to be notified, and for them to also be able to opt out. So I'm hoping that the information regulator at least is also watching a close eye and seeing how they can actually mitigate these risks. It is quite a huge conversation when we discuss, digital platform governance, and we also do need the regulators as well as the platforms to be in the room. But platforms, have felt that we're coming hard on them, and we're not being reasonable. And recently, we attended a conference, and there was literally there were two platforms in the room, Google and TikTok. The others weren't in the room. We know Twitter or X is never really interested in those kind of discussions. But essentially what they were saying is that they actually want simple guidelines that will apply across the countries. But that's not really impossible because countries don't work the same way. We have different laws than other countries, and they have to take into consideration our cultural considerations as well, how we sort of do things here. So it is quite a touchy subject, particularly when you call for things like co-regulation, or even having just regulatory standards and having the ban as a word. You're trying to run away from that and call for collaboration and partnership, so that we can actually move together to see how we can make our people safe.
All right, Lerato, thank you. You've gotten us thinking about these matters. It sounds to me like it should be something that perhaps at a future date we should dedicate at the very least an hour to unpacking fully with various players in that conversation. Lerato Ntwampe, a legal professional who focuses sharply on the intersection of law, technology, and social media. To the left of your screen, you'll be seeing a breaking story there, and it's a sad one. The death of 5 children who have died in a house fire in Balito in KwaZulu-Natal. In the next few minutes, we'll take you there live with our reporter, Nonhlakanipho Magwaza, standing by to give us the latest.